Hi, my name is Andrea. I live and work in London, though most of my family live in Brazil. I get on well with my sister when I see her, but that's only once a year. Do you spend much time with your family?
Spent quite a bit of time with my family, obviously less now since I left home and left university. But I go back every other weekend or every, say, 3 weekends. So yeah, I see them quite a bit.
Probably not as much as I could because the kids are busy and I don't have any parents anymore and my husband's family live a fair way away, so probably not as much as we'd like to.
I try to, yeah. I try and spend as much time as possible. I've got 2 sisters. My older sister lives in London. She lives on a houseboat, actually, on the Thames, which is very nice. And my little sister lives in Tenerife with my parents.
I don't know. We're geographically quite spread out.
Yeah, I do. I go to school in Toronto and they live there, and I see them on weekends and whenever I can, really.
Do you think you have inherited any family characteristics?
Well, often people say that I sound and look a lot like my dad, which I don't see, but but everybody else does. So I guess I have done.
Yes, I do. A lot of people sometimes say I look like my aunt or my mother, but then there are a couple of my aunts and my cousins that when people see us, they're like, "Are you guys sisters?"
Unfortunately, I think I have, but they're probably not all bad. My family seems to all have fairly good personalities and it's usually fun being around them, so I think I might have inherited some of that.
Oh, absolutely. I get stressed very easily. I guess take things too seriously sometimes, but I really value spending time with my family, and that's probably a big thing that I've inherited.
Physically, yeah, definitely. I think I'm quite slender and quite tall, which is like my mum. But in terms of personality, probably not. No, I don't think so. No.
Yeah, definitely. I think from my mum, I've got the kind of bubbliness and chattiness. She's very much like that, and most of the time I'm like that. But then when I'm in a bad mood, I get the dad side, and that's he's kind of, my mum used to call him a volcano because he kind of just erupts. He's really peaceful most of the time, but then when you really make him angry, he'll erupt, and that's kind of how it is with me.
There's this moment, I think, probably happens to all of us, where there was something our mum or our dad did which we hated, and then we find that we're doing it.
Do you know much about your family history?
Yes, I know quite a lot. A group of eccentrics, really. My family was essentially lived in Scotland and Argentina, different bits of Latin America, so I know quite a lot about it.
We're great writers and historians, so we do a lot of work with, collecting that. We did a lot of work collecting that data of our family's history coming from Barbados and going to Liberia, which is where I'm from originally.
A little bit. One of my aunties did a family tree, and it appears that I'm about, I think, 3rd generation Australian. Originally, we came from County Clare in Ireland, so that's as much as I know.
Yeah, it's quite interesting actually because my father and my mother were both Catholic missionaries from Spain, and they met in Zimbabwe while my father was a priest and my mother was a nun, and they fell in love, and they kind of left the church and decided to settle down in Zimbabwe and have kids.
Yeah, I mean, Canada is a country of immigrants, so my family's from Scotland and France.
I remember conversations with my grandparents, them explaining, but I wish I'd written more down because it's amazing how much you forget. And you think, I'm sure it's so vivid, I'm sure I'd remember more, but I wish I did.
Does your family history play a part in your sense of who you are?
Yes, very much so, and part of that is that I was brought up in Latin America, speaking Spanish to my friends and English to my parents. So in a sense I was brought up between 2 cultures, and that at the end is part of who I am.
Definitely, because family is a big part of me, and we just try to keep those connections going.
So I guess it's a difficult balance in my head to see how much is me and how much is my family, and knowing about my family history and knowing what I've inherited, which I'm sure there's lots and lots of habits that I must have inherited, but I feel a lot of it's me, but it probably isn't.
No, not really at all. I left home when I was about 16 or 17, so I think my sense of identity has been very much formed by my own belief systems and my own lifestyle, rather than being particularly keyed into anything to do with my parents or my grandparents.